and our first myth we're gonna debunk, which is one that just makes me so sad. So sad. And the first myth number 1 is that sweet wines suck. So, sweet wines do not suck. I'm here to tell you. And I think it's a very prevalent myth. Even people like well-known, like wine collectors that I know really think, oh, sweet, no way, I don't do that. But like I did an event at a country club last year, and I do an event there every month during the season. We get a great turnout. It's such a fun group. I always call the day before to see where we are in attendance, right? So I call the day before, and the attendance was like half. It was only like 30 people or so. And I'm like, what's going on? Is there an event or something? And they were like, no. And I'm trying to figure out, and I'm like, you know what? One of the guys who's a collector probably said, ew, like sweet wines are not the thing, and no, you shouldn't go to that. They're not good wines. And thankfully I knew these people well enough. So I reached out and I'm like, listen, you have to come. These wines are great. And luckily I rallied the troops and everybody came, and you know what? Myth debunked. Everyone loved the wines. I bring a little something for everybody. So you might not like one, but you'll really like the other. And essentially, this is it. If you like any kind of dessert, whether it's creme brulee, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, salted caramel, whatever. If you like anything sweet like that, you like dessert wines. You just haven't met the right one yet. So for those of you who've been watching over the past few weeks, I've featured 2 different kinds of port. I featured like a late harvest Sauvignon Blanc from Napa, a Sauterne. There's so many beautiful wines, and the wine I have today to share with you. And while sweet wines are some of the most age-worthy and expensive wines in the world, they don't have to be. So the wine I have to share with you today, which is such a beauty, it's the Barra Brachetto. I'm not going to flip the screen this time. I'm going to actually post the link in the comment section after. You can see the labels, the name of the wine, and all of that. But the wine I have to share, it's the Barra Brachetto. It's from the Piedmont region of Italy. It's a 2015 vintage, $16 a bottle. Now, this may be unfamiliar to you. Brachetto is the name of the grape. Let me top off a little bit. We enjoyed this. Anyway, Brachetto is the name of the grape. It's done in a slightly sweet, slightly sparkling style. And you can see that beautiful color. And it is just like liquid strawberries and rose petals. It's beautiful. We enjoyed it Valentine's Day paired with chocolate covered strawberries. Like nothing better. Nothing better. It's just a delicious wine, and these are definitely a category wines you should be exploring. So let's go ahead and do a little guided tasting of this wine since I've got you here. So right here, you can see the beautiful color. I mean, it's the color of a strawberry. It's just gorgeous. The bubbles might have kind of gone out of it. We opened it, Wednesday? I mean, they're still there a little bit when you taste it, but again, it's usually frothy and fizzy, but it still tastes magnificent. And again, Brachetto is the name of the grape, and you do see that on the bottle, which is good. Some of you might be familiar with another more commercial incarnation of this grape called Rosa Regale. Similar, very similar grape, similar flavor profile, just a delicious sweet wine. So I'm going to go ahead and swirl and sniff. Yeah, and on the nose, gosh, it's beautiful. Strawberry, total rose petal. The rose petals actually come first, then the strawberry, then a little hit of cassis, that black raspberry flavored liqueur that's just so incredibly good. But and even on the nose, you can get a beautiful acidity, because what keeps these sweet wines from being cloying and kind of icky is their beautiful acidity. Oftentimes the sugar is balanced with the acidity, so the wines don't taste cloyingly sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and act like I've never tried it before and try it. Now is sip and swish. So for those of you who might be joining me for the first time, we always swish the wine so you can get a good impression of what the wine's texture is all about. So pardon me while I sip and swish. Yeah, and on the palate, it is still fizzy. Definitely get some of the, again, it's frizzante. The Italians call it frizzante. You got to say it with the hand too. It's about half as fizzy as champagne. So it's just frothy and delicious, and definitely, it's like drinking rose petals, strawberries, again, cassis, everything you're kind of getting on the nose, but you really get a little more of the citrus And of course the acid. That's why you swish it around your whole palate, because it just kind of lights up your palate. I immediately am craving a chocolate covered strawberry, but they're gone. But I will link up the previous shows where I've mentioned dessert wines in the resource guide when I post it, so you can explore these wines, because I'm here to tell you, sweet wines don't suck. They are delicious. So, any questions about our first wine? Oh, happy Friday, Laura. Great to see you, lady. I hope you enjoyed your bubbly over Valentine's Day. Laura was the winner of our Valentine's Day giveaway. So, and thanks to all of you who participated. I'm going to be doing another one next month, so stay tuned. I've got something really awesome lined up, but this was a good one. In fact, every February for the past, I think, 3 years, I've done the Laurent Perrier Cuvée Rosé Champagne, because it's just a favorite. So I hope you enjoyed it, lady. And hey, Monica and Lynn. And again, I so appreciate you guys tuning in today. That's awesome. So if there aren't any other questions about this wine, I'm going to go ahead and take another sip. So feel free to comment away. Or ask away. God, that's good. So good. Anyway, and again, that was our Barra Bracchetto from the Piedmont region of Italy, our sweet wine. Sweet wines are okay. Embrace the sweet wine. All right, so the next myth we're going to debunk is that all wines improve with age, because they don't. Flat out, they don't. And this is another one that just keeps kind of persisting out there. And I bring it up because not that long ago, we were over at a friend's house for a party. And, you know, I think a lot of people, if you have a bar in your house, like a little bar area, you have like the decorative little rack. It's not refrigerated. It just kind of sits out on the bar surface, you know, and it can hold bottles. Of course, you know, you shouldn't leave them in there too long because it's exposed to, you know, heat, sunlight. It's not the most ideal way to store wine, but it looks pretty, and I get that. I get the aesthetic thing. But I went over to the rack, and I look, and there's some like Pinot Grigios, Sauv Blancs, and some Chardonnays, except they're 10 years old. So, we were joking about it. She's like, oh, don't they get better like with age? I'm like, no, especially not because they were brown. Like a couple of them had turned like darker in color, because as white wines age, they get brownish, and as red wines age, they actually get lighter in color. But anyway, so we had a chuckle about it. But a lot of people think that most wine improves with age, when actually only about 3% of all wine produced improves with age. That's it. That's it. Especially when you're talking about wines kind of in the everyday price range, like under $20. Those are the wines you want to consume when young. For whites, I'd say between 1 and 3 years, and for reds by 5 years. I wouldn't go beyond that. So, and again, generally you can tell by the price point, but the wines have to have a very, a certain ratio of acid, tannin, and or sugar to really age well. And normally these wines are going to be a little bit pricier. Not that they have to be super expensive, but normally they'll probably be more than like your $20, $25 a bottle in order to age well. So just keep that in mind. And if you have a white wine and it's kind of your everyday white and it's like crisp and refreshing, that wine is not going to get any better with age for sure. So drink it, buy them, drink them, enjoy them. And then, you know what? If you want to look into aging wine, I did 2 episodes ago, I did Wine Collecting 101. If you are interested in learning what makes a wine age well or age with grace, or if you're interested in starting a collection, I'll link that up so you can read more about what makes a wine ageable. But yeah, your daily Pinot Grigio is not going to get any better with age at all. So you want to drink them. You don't want to have them turning brown on your rack, on your, you know, in your bar area. So, so don't do that. Okay. So hold on. So the wine that I'm going to show you, I found a great example of what happens when you forget about a wine. And let me preface this by saying, normally I love this wine. This is a great wine. But when you let it hang out for almost 10 years and it's a crisp, refreshing white wine, bad things happen. Bad things happen. So the wine it's a Sartori di Verona Ferdi Bianco. It's from the Veneto region of Italy. This is the 2010 vintage. You don't want to hang on to the 2010 vintage. Just because it's meant to be drank while young. Generally retails for about $14 a bottle, but when you hold on to it for too long, this is what happens. Your first tell as to whether a wine has gone awry is the color. Now, I don't know if you could, I kind of wore this so that you could kind of compare. The wine is the chartreuse color of my dress. So you can see this wine is too old and it has oxidized. And that's generally your first tip, that a wine, the aging process has not gone well for a wine. Especially a wine meant to be consumed young. So clearly I'm not going to drink this wine, but I will go through, the color is your first tell. So yeah, so wrong. You see that color, chartreuse, generally not a good thing. You might even just notice that the wine is a very deep golden color. And like with reds, you won't notice it as much. You might see some browning or something around the edge, but yeah, you'd probably see some browning of the wine. That would kind of be an indicator that something might be awry. But yeah, this is an example of a wine that does not improve well with age. So if I go ahead and smell the wine, yes, it smells like soy sauce and vinegar. That's your second tell. And at that point, if you don't realize you probably shouldn't drink the wine, that's on you, because I'm not drinking this wine. You know, and again, this would happen to any young, youthful white wine. You hang on to it long enough, and again, it doesn't get better. It unfortunately gets worse. So drink those young wines, enjoy them while they're fresh and crisp and delicious with all the beautiful fruit you don't want to waste, or wait until they turn into soy sauce and vinegar. It's very odd. I wish you could smell it through but I know you can't, but it's very, very peculiar. So any questions? Let me see. Oh, Laura says the champagne was spectacular. Yay! My pleasure, lady. I knew it went to, when I saw your name pop up, I knew it was going to a very good home. So that made me very happy, and I hope you too enjoyed it. And Jim says, what are your favorite ice wines? Oh my gosh, there's many. There's many amazing ice wines out there. Is there one in particular you were asking about? Perhaps. I'm trying to think of the Enniskillen wines are divine, but there are plenty out there. They're really good. I would almost even, you know, that would be a fun little adventure to go on. Just try a few and experiment with them. Ice wines are cool because the grapes are actually frozen. And then they press out the juice and it is just lush and viscous. And I have not featured an ice wine on the show yet, Jim. So you have inspired me. I will footnote you when I do feature an ice wine on the show. But if there's any in particular you like, let me know. You know, I don't even think I've had one in a while. And you know what? These glasses, it's funny. I got a gift years ago of a bottle of the Enniskillen. I think it was the Vidal ice wine. And these Riedel glasses came with it. And I love to drink, you know, dessert wines out of them. But anyway, that was probably the last one I had. And that was a little ways back. So I will definitely look into that. But it's definitely a delicious category of wine worth embracing and exploring. Because again, you've got these lush, delicious wines, but that sweetness is balanced by just a gorgeous acidity. And those wines are actually pretty food friendly too. That's another wine myths I'm going to do, specifically food and wine pairing myths. So that's a whole other show, folks. So any questions about anything so far? Oh, Heather says, I've tried Jackson Trigg's Canadian ice wine. Amber in color and syrupy, yum, right? And I mean, was it not delicious? Yeah, pretty darn good. Yeah, they're spectacular wines. Yeah, that's my next dessert wine I'm going to feature on the show, because I've covered a lot of them, because I am a fan, as if you couldn't tell. But good call, and I will definitely. I'm open to any of your suggestions, by the way. If there's any particular wines, topics you'd like me to talk about, comments away. I'd be happy to do that. I aim to please. So, all right. Any questions about either our Brichetto sweet wine or our poor Faraday, our Faraday Bianco that went awry? And again, normally a beautiful wine, folks. So just an example that all wines do not improve with age. So if someone's holding on to a bottle and you suspect that might not be right. So, you know, share what you know with them. You don't have to be a wine snob about it. Just share what you know. You might help them. You know, you might save them a few bucks by drinking that wine when they should, rather than waiting until it gets this color, which nobody wants. Nobody wants that. So, okay. All right. So the next wine myth we're going to debunk is that when a wine has legs, it's an expensive wine. How's that? You ever heard that? I heard this probably a month or so ago. I'm not going to give timetables because I appreciate my friends sharing their questions with me, and I don't want to out anybody. But we were out at a restaurant, ordered a nice bottle of red wine. This was a nice bottle. And my friend, you know, was swirling the wine. Oh, look at the legs, you know, that. And he even asked, like, is that a sign of a quality wine? When in fact, it is not the sign of a quality wine. In fact, the only thing you can really infer from the legs of a wine, and you know what, I'm going to go ahead and show you because some of you might not know exactly what I mean when I say legs. So let me go ahead and see if I can get some going here. And the legs of a wine are simply when you get pronounced streaks going down the sides of the glass. Oh, there you go. I'm not sure if you can see them, but you can see them dripping very slowly down the sides of the glass. So all of that can really tell you about a wine is that it's probably a fuller bodied wine, and that it probably has a pretty high alcohol content, because alcohol creates that viscosity, and that's why you get the tears that drip so slowly down the sides of the glass. And in fact, when I was training to take my wine exams, we were warned about actually inferring anything about the legs of a wine, because depending on the soap used to clean the glass, that can even affect whether or not the legs show up on the sides of the glass. So I don't try to put too much stock in, you know, what the legs mean or that they're even there. I mean, generally you'll see them in definitely fuller bodied reds, and some whites you can notice them as well. But yeah, legs, a wine having legs doesn't mean anything about quality. And to demonstrate that, I have this, in fact, this is the last wine from my Barons de Rothschild Bordeaux wines that I've been featuring. Love these wines. It's their legend. Here, I'll show you the bottle. And again, I'll put it in the resource guide. It's the Barons de Rothschild Bordeaux. And yeah, it's just a fabulous line of wine. Legend is the name of the line. This is the General Bordeaux, and then they also have a Medoc, a Pauillac, and a Saint-Emilion, and a Bordeaux Blanc. Beautiful terroir-driven wines. They're all very unique and delicious, I have to say. And yeah, just very enjoyable. And I think a lot of people also think Bordeaux has to be very expensive, and it doesn't. Or that you need to age it forever, and you don't. So, man, I'm debunking more than I thought I would today. But anyway, really enjoy this wine. And $18 a bottle, this one. Under $20 a bottle. Has beautiful legs. It's a beautiful wine. So legs do not mean that it is an expensive wine. So let's go ahead and do our little tasting of this wine, since we're here and all, since I have you here. And again, you can see it's a beautiful, youthful 2016 vintage. So right out of the gate, beautiful purple. I don't know, I'm still not sure the best way to show you the color, but I think you can tell by that. It's a gorgeous purple, dense purple, opaque color. Like there's no reading through this wine. That's a good sign. You always hold the glass over some print. If you can't read through it, thick skin grape. And this wine is a very dense, it's a blend of 60% Cabernet Sauvignon, 40% Merlot. So classic, the main two Bordeaux varieties, especially on the left bank. So let me go ahead and swirl and sniff. Yeah, that's awesome. You know what? If purple had a smell, this would be it. That wine smells purple. I don't know if that is ripe blackberry, ripe dark cherry. That is all ripe, black, delicious fruit on the nose. Definitely some earth, because we are talking old world wine, always has a little bit of that earth component, and some spice from the French oak used to age it. So I'm gonna go ahead and sip and swish. And that's why I love to encourage you to swish, because you really want to get the sense of what the tannins are like in that wine unless you switch it around. The tannins are there, but you know what? very approachable. They're not totally assaulting my palate and stripping all the moisture out of it. Very approachable, but again, if you like full-bodied wine with some tannins to it, this is a beautiful choice. So, and also great texture, and also you're getting, again, the blackberry, a little bit of violet, a little bit of that cassis thing going on in this too. A little bit of earth, again, the spice from the French oak, and yeah, what a lovely, balanced, beautiful wine, under $20, folks. And again, I'll have the links to all of these wines if you'd like, interested in purchasing them or any of that jazz, but a great value, and from a great family. I mean, it's the Domaine Barons de Rothschild. You know, they make some of the most highly collectible and expensive wines in the world, but you have to have something to drink while you're waiting for those wines to age, right? So, all right, so this wine debunks that when a wine has legs, it's expensive. So we've talked about, you can't really tell anything about a wine from the legs other than it's probably a little bit higher in alcohol, and that's about it. So is anyone surprised to learn that? Not you guys are smart. Anyway, any questions about any of the wines so far? Oh, Deb, Valpolicella, good for you, lady. That's a good choice. You'll probably have that wine will probably have some beautiful legs as well. Oh, Oscar says, so sorry, so late. I was driving. The nerve. You can't watch the show and drive at the same time, Oscar? Come on. I would never encourage that. We are thrilled to have you whenever we can get you. So always great to see you. Love to Fran. No worries. So just to recap for those of you like Oscar who might be joining us, I think I saw some people chime in. So the first myth we debunked was that sweet wines suck. They do not, in fact. And I featured a beautiful, slightly sparkling Brichetto from Italy's Piedmont region. The second myth we debunked was that all wines improve with age. They don't. And the wine we used to demonstrate that was our beautiful Sartori di Veronese, Ferdi Bianco, the 2010 that just, went a little too long, maybe got a little oxidized and really took a wrong turn, although it's usually a beautiful wine. And then we just tasted and debunked. We tasted the Domaine Barons de Rothschild Bordeaux. It's their $18 a bottle offering, and showed that just because a wine has legs, and by legs we mean the streaks that go down the side of the glass, legs do not mean that a wine is expensive. They can only mean, if you choose to infer that from the legs, that that it's a fuller bodied wine with a higher alcohol content. And this wine is, let's see, I forget. It's 12.5 alcohol. It's not crazy. So again, but it is made from pretty full-bodied grapes. So, all right. Any questions so far? Oh, Fran would say White Zinfandel rules. Good for Fran. We love Fran. We embrace her no matter what she drinks. Good for her. It's always good to see you guys. So, our final wine of today's tasting is, or the final myth, I'm sorry. And if any of you have any myths you've heard or you want to talk about right now, go ahead and ask away. This is a safe space. I promise not to make fun unless it's really silly. No, I'm kidding. No making fun, here to learn, and that's it. Safe space. So ask questions, I promise. And I promise to just answer you. Wouldn't that be great if you've had this burning wine question you really want to know the answer to, especially if you're being tormented by a wine snob who's making you crazy. So I'm your gal. Ask away. So while you're thinking on that and asking, the last myth we're going to debunk is that red wines should be served at room temperature. I can't tell you how many times I encounter this, especially at a restaurant. This is especially why I featured this. We were out to eat locally not that long ago. Go to a restaurant, order a bottle of red, and the red shows up, Delray Beach room temperature. We're here in South Florida, right? I think when someone came up with the concept of serving red wines at room temperature, it was in a drafty castle in the English countryside, where it was probably about 60 degrees on a warm day. So no wine was ever meant to be served room temperature by Southeast standards. Let's just leave it there, right? No wine should be served 75, 80, 90 degrees, especially a red. And you know what? Having a chill on that red wine does make a huge difference. So yeah, we were out to eat. The wine came room temperature. So you asked our waiter, you know, can we get a bucket of ice for the wine? And he looked at it, he's like, well, it's red. Looked at us like we were crazy. You're like, yeah, we know. So he brought the bucket of ice, and you know what? We ended up having a fun conversation about it, and let him try the wines. And it's such a big difference when you serve, and also when you serve a wine at room temp, it really enhances the alcohol. You can really taste it in the back of your throat. But when you serve a wine with a little chill, on the other hand, it really makes the fruit pop and become very beautiful. And really kind of minimizes the alcohol a little bit. So I always think it's a good thing. And when you're at a restaurant and your red wine comes with a little chill on it, that's the sign of a good wine program. So that's a quality thing. You want to encounter that. And I don't know if this wine is still cold enough, because I poured this one earlier, and then I was going to pour this one that has been sitting here. But ideally, when you pour the wine in the glass, it's not going to happen right now because the wine's been out, but you should see a little bit of steam, or, you know, the little frost go around the wine in the glass a little bit. You should see that. That means the wine is cellar temperature. It shouldn't be freezing cold, because that can mute the aromas and flavors. It should just have a slight chill, like around 55 degrees, 60 degrees, somewhere around there. Darn, I timed that wrong. But anyway, it is still cool to the touch, and that's really what's important. So the wine that I have to demonstrate the debunking of this myth is the beautiful L'École number 41 Merlot from Washington's Columbia Valley. It's a beautiful Merlot. For those of you who might be, I love Merlot. I'm a huge fan. This is a beautiful one. Washington State makes gorgeous examples of Merlot. This one around $25 a bottle. And this is a little heftier in alcohol, 14.5%. So, what was I just going to say? So yeah, this is homework for you. Homework for you. I want you to take a bottle of red wine that not in the fridge, that's out on your counter. I want you to pour a little in a glass. Then I want you to put that bottle of wine in the fridge for 45 minutes. Then I want you to pull it out, pour yourself another separate glass, and I want you to taste those wines side by side and see if you can't notice the difference in the way the wine tastes. I guarantee you're going to notice a difference. It's quite a big difference. So let's go ahead and make sure I have the right one and do our little guided tasting. Da-da-da-da-da. So if we're looking at this wine, we can see, and again, this wine is predominantly Merlot with a dollop of Cabernet Franc and Malbec and a sprinkle of Petit Verdot added. So predominantly Merlot, but a few other things blended in. And it's a little redder than our previous wine. It's more reddish, kind of garnet, still very youthful looking. No way you're reading through that wine. So thick-skinned grape, we know that. Merlot is all about plush, lush, dense, fruity wines, but they mix in these other grapes, give it a little more structure. And again, this is a lovely example. So I'm going to move on to Swirl and Sniff. Yes, and while the last wine was predominantly black fruit, this is also the benefit of trying wine side by side. Getting to compare and contrast is always a lot of fun. This is red and black fruit, so I'd say this is ripe red cherry, but also there's some black cherry in there as well. Plum, yeah, definitely a mixture of red and black fruit for sure, but very great aromatics. I definitely want to go ahead and move forward and sip and swish. Yum. Yeah, and great acid on this wine too. And the difference, you can tell tannin because it kind of strips the moisture out of your mouth. Acid actually lights up your taste buds. You can feel kind of the saliva start to happen, and you immediately crave food. Although I crave food most of the time anyway. But that's a sign of acid in wine. This one has kind of both going on, which is very nice. It's a beautiful wine. Again, you get that red fruit, you get the plum. Definitely like red cherry for sure. A little bit of sweet oak. Definitely some spice, a little bit of nutmeg and clove from the French oak as well. Just a really beautiful, balanced wine. But I'm telling you, you know what, here's my one that's not chilled, that's room temp, that's been sitting here. Yeah, definitely not. Boy, you guys promise me you'll do that for homework, because that is such a difference. The chill just makes, I mean, this wine, the room temp wine is fine, but that chill just makes that fruit just like, wow. It's really, it's quite a difference. So that's your homework. So red wine should only be served at room temperature if you are staying in a castle in the English countryside and room temperature is 60 degrees. So that's the debunking of that.